Hello, I'm William Burton, CEO of Awesome Experiences, the fastest and easiest way to book your trip of a lifetime. Now, if you're over 65, with lots of time on your hands and a generous pension, the chances are that this platform's not for you. But in research with 250 UK and US business school alumni, what you're about to see is pretty well exactly what they specified. And in user research, it scores 9 out of 10. This is a showcase of Awesome Experiences Generation 2 platform and features our new AI trip builder functionality. And what we've done is to embed it into the existing Generation 1 platform. All trips are fully supported by leading overseas destination management companies in resort, and all trips come with full financial protection. If users know roughly what they want, it takes around 10 minutes end to end to research, tailor and book them on this platform. If they know less exactly what they want, then realistically they'll explore it a bit and it'll take up to 30 minutes. But let's put that in context. Offline tailor-made tour operators and travel agents typically take 10 hours over 3 weeks to do exactly the same thing. And even online platforms like Expedia say that it takes at least 5 hours over 45 days. So it's no surprise that in research, 89% of users feel that the existing booking processes are extremely slow and inefficient, and they call for something different. And when you show them Awesome Experiences, they can immediately see that it's going to be 20 times faster. And because the process is driven by the users themselves, our operating costs are around 50% lower than those for an offline bespoke tour operator. And this can be reflected in our prices. So let me show you exactly how it works. I've chosen to do it on a PC because it's easier for you to see. But in fact, it's even easier and quicker on a mobile or a tablet. Here we are in the Awesome Experiences website, and as you can see, the whole purpose of this is bespoke trips of a lifetime made easy. And as you go down the page, you can see all the different types of holidays that we offer, which are all experiential. And then you come very quickly to AI Trip Builder, which is our new functionality that allows you to select and tailor your ideal trip in a few minutes. So you click here, you go into the microsite, and then you select your type of experience. Let's go for extraordinary places. Expect where, let's say Asia in the Far East. Departure month, April 26. Let's continue. When do you want to go? Actually, I want to go on the 4th of April, and I want to go somewhere between 10 and 14 nights. So we go on. I want to go to Vietnam and Cambodia. Awesome experience. I want cultural visits and chill out. All right, let's continue. I'm going to have full guiding and transfers. I'm going to have a price range from £2,000 to £4,000 a person. And then immediately it's throwing up, in fact, 5 good fit results in order of fit. And in this particular case, the closest fit is highlights of Vietnam and Cambodia with Phu Quoc, which is a resort with 12 nights, and it tells me about it. You can see on the right hand side it tells me where I am in the process, and it also tells me in fact what I've actually selected. So we can have a look at the full itinerary now, and here we are. This is the highlights of Vietnam and Cambodia. It starts at £2,479 per person for 12 nights, and if we go down you see it's got an interactive map, and we can carry on down right through the itinerary, and each of these links are to the hotels in the different categories: 3, 4 star, 4 star and 5 star. You can go to the their own websites and see them more detail about them. It takes you through the day by day itinerary and images and other details about the trip. So once we review that, and obviously we can review the other trips if we want to, we select one we want, which we're going to do now, which is this one. And you can see again on the right, it's now selected into the basket. We continue. Could have saved at that point, but we're not going to. We're going to continue. Choose our flights. In this case, I'm going from Heathrow. It's pretty obvious which flights I want because the cheapest one is also the shortest one. So we're going to select those and continue. Now we get into customizing our stays. So we've got chosen one where flights are. One of the issues that we have is in fact the flights we've chosen are 14 nights apart, but the trip is only a 12-night trip. So it tells you need to add 2 extra days. In this case, it's suggesting you do it in Phu Quoc.
And also it also says you can customize your activity day by day. So you've got activities already in there, but you can add extra activities or change them as you go through stop by stop. So if we look at Siem Reap, which is the first stop in Cambodia, day one, in the afternoon, you've got the option of adding or changing to, in fact, a quad bike tour instead of a walking tour. So sounds pretty good. It's only £68. We're going to do that. I don't want to do anything in the evening because I only just have arrived. The next, there's a helicopter flight over the temples, but it's very expensive, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go on a walking tour, but actually afterwards, a foot massage sounds like a pretty good idea for £10, so we'll add that. You can see the description came up. In the evening, there's an evening activity. It's a second night, so probably be quite fun. So look at it. It's a circus-style performance. And it's given by a training for young local people. So it sounds quite worthy as well as being quite fun. So let's have that. And you can see it's adding it to the right-hand side and to the price as we go. The next day, in fact, we're going to go floating village, and there aren't any options because you all have to go on the same boat. And then you move on to Hanoi the next day in Vietnam. Before you fly, there's an option of a sacred monk blessing in a temple, which is free. So since it's free, it might as well be blessed as not. It'll be quite an interesting experience. So we're going to add that. Fly to Hanoi, and then obviously unpack and chill out and have dinner in the evening. Next day, there's a must-see a private tour. So that's obviously must-see means must-see. But in the afternoon, you have a choice of either going around Hanoi on your own and going to museums and things, or there's actually quite an interesting sounding excursion, which is only £49, which is being whisked around the back streets on the back of a Soviet era motorcycle for 3 hours and visiting different parts of the city, street food, meeting the locals and going to markets and things. So I'm going to do that. Then we got evening, there's a couple of things don't particularly appeal for me, so I'm not going to go with those. And then the next day we're going to go to Halong Bay, which is the fabulous place with all the thousands of islands. The normal transfer would be by 4x4. Takes a reasonable time. You could go by a 1930s period car, doesn't desperately appeal to me. But the what does is a seaplane transfer, so it's much quicker, and you can see the whole bay by air, which sounds fantastic. So I'm going to. It's only £188 a head, which in the order of things isn't much. So let's go for it. Then we go on a junk cruise ship around the islands, and one of the options is spring roll making. I've done that before, so I'm not going to. Another one is night fishing, which is free, so I'm going to do that. And then the next morning we go around Halong Bay, and then we are going to transfer back and get flights. I don't think I'll bother with the early morning canoe trip. That's I might have a lie-in. And then we come back, and then we fly to Phu Quoc, which is the resort part of the trip. And I said I wanted to have some chill out time, and it's given me some chill out time. So I go to the Phu Quoc. It reminds me that I need to add 2 days to the trip. For convenience, on this particular trip, I put them into Phu Quoc, but in fact normally I could have put them into any of the stops, but in this case I have. Add £60 to the trip, which goes into the price. And then within Phu Quoc, you can see there's different activities highlighted. In fact, you can have a fairly free choice of it, but I've done this mainly so you can have a look at this functionality. So on this particular day, there's a reef visit. This is day 11. I'm going to move it up, and in fact, it's now moved it up up, and in fact, I'm going to say move another day. Here's a day with glass bottom boat. I'm going to move that down. So in fact, that reef visit has now gone up, and the glass bottom boat has gone down. So as you can see, you can move days around. So you can add days, move days around. But in fact, since at Phu Quoc they're all fairly free and easy. In fact, it doesn't change the price or the itinerary significantly. So then lastly, we go to Ho Chi Minh City, which used to be called Saigon. We're going to do a transfer there. Then the day we arrive, there's an evening tour by car. I'm going to actually take the option there, which is a Vespa back tour, because Vespas and motorbikes are big in Vietnam. It's only £35, and so we're going to add that. and it's gone into the price, which has gone up to 2,957. And then we go to Coochie tunnels, which are sort of from the Vietnamese War, which are pretty interesting, and return on speedboat, which sounds like cool, and then fly home. So all in all, I've now created a trip that sounds quite good. On the right, you see the price and all the different options, and the price is adjusted to reflect that. We finish now. We can save that at this point and even share it, but in fact what I'm going to do is continue the process, and I'm going to go into the full itinerary, and here you see, as if by magic, it's still 2,957, but now it's increased from 12 nights to 14 nights. I could book this straight away down the right hand side, but in fact I'm going to just check the itinerary, the detailed itinerary, and you'll see that it's now added the quad bike tour to the first day, and similarly it's added the foot massage and the circus performance, and the day after we didn't add it, then second about betting. So it's added all the different activities to the itinerary, so I can run through it again and check it's what I really want. Then I can either book it by phone, but actually why would I bother? Why don't I just do it online? And in fact I'm going to go for one room, I'm going to go for 2 adults, no children. It defaults to classic class, which is character 3-star, and as you can see, that price, as we saw before, was 2,957 per person. I'm going to actually upgrade to 4-star, which I generally would go 4-star personally. And I'm going to click on the date, which is the date we chose. So we're going out by air on the 4th, and the actual ground trip starts on the 5th. And you see the price has gone up from just under 3,000 to 3,100, which is a pretty good price. I'm going to go for double room and continue. And then now I'm into the actual booking process. Now I'm not going to take you right through the whole of this, but there's a couple of features quite interesting. One is that it gives you another crack at some of the extras if you're interested. Maybe you didn't have them before, but you might change your mind when you got to there. And then you do the normal thing. You put your name in, you put your put it in, put in your date of birth. Let's pretend it was the 1st of January, or whatever the first date is, 1925. Do the same for my spouse. Just pretend she has the name, and then we put the dates in. We got the address. We didn't put any extras in, so the extras is showing 0, but it's showing the full price of the tour for 2 people, excluding flights, which is 6,216. Now we do exclude at the moment flights because so many people we found in our experience tend to want to book their own flights, and they've got air miles and so on. But we did need to know what flights they wanted, because that way we can match the tour duration with the flight duration. So that was the key purpose of that stage. And at this point, you've got a choice of either you can give a deposit today, which is what most people will do, or alternatively, you can pay in full, which if you're within a few weeks of departure, you'd have to do. So you accept the terms and conditions, you carry on through to the payment page. Again, if I clicked on that properly, there we are. And there we are, and it just gives you the price and the tour and the dates. In my case, it's pre-populated most of this with my details. But I always have to put in the rest in. You put in any special requirements. If you had a Pioneers Club discount voucher, you put it in there, and then you say how you're going to pay and the you pay. I have disabled the final payment stage currently on the site because we're inviting people in to test it, and I don't want anybody accidentally booking. But it literally will be a matter of sort of flicking a switch. Takes a couple of hours to re-enable the full booking process. And we no doubt will do when we've stopped demonstrating it. Great, so thank you very much for joining us. I hope you were impressed. It's pretty quick. It scored 9 out of 10, and people said it was very quick and clear to them in user acceptance testing, and we're quite pleased with it, and I hope you enjoy it and you think it's worth investing in. Thank you.